Set. Get up on your foul partner, Carson. Fire!
Hello there, this is Roy Wulf, and I'm in West Virginia today to help commemorate the epic 600-mile march undertaken in 1775 by riflemen from Virginia, who left from Shepherdstown and journeyed to Massachusetts to join up with Washington's army, the so-called Bee-Line March. And welcome, we are the Old Line Fife and Drum Corps, and the piece that we just played is called The Road to Boston, which I think is very fitting for this celebration of the Bee-Line March up to Massachusetts. The next tune we'll be playing is The Girl I Left Behind Me. In this video, you'll hear some of the tunes we played and see some of the things that happen at the event. That was The Girl Left Behind Me, a wonderful Scots-Irish tune, and again very fitting for this area on the western frontier of the 13 original colonies, where a lot of Scots-Irish settled. I'll just say a word about our uniforms. Our name is the Old Line Fife and Drum Corps, and the Old Line refers to the troops in the American Army raised in Maryland, and the American musicians in the Continental Army would wear red coats with blue facings to distinguish them from the soldiers who wore blue coats with red facings. So we are often mistaken for British soldiers, but in fact we are American Continental musicians. So next we are going to play a tune called The Brandywine. Well, we have a little bit of a break before our next performance, so it's a perfect time to take my dog Avro for a walk around Morgan's Grove Park. We walked past this very interesting stone building, and I'm curious to find out what it is. It's a spring house. It's much cooler in here. Fountain spring is run through this building, keeping it cool. So, like a big refrigerator, it was used to store butter, cheese, and seasoned meat. And now we're going to have a brief bit of introducing these instruments to you, these historical instruments. And so I'll start off with the fife. It was first used in Switzerland as a military signaling instrument, and over the course of the centuries it spread throughout Europe and was used as one of the main signaling instruments along with the drum. And it was used by the British Army, and that's how it came to the colonies. This particular model of fife is tuned in a more historical tuning. Some other kinds of fife have been lowered over the time, but this very shrill sound is what you would have heard at the time. And now for the drum.
It's called a rope tension drum, meaning uses rope, one long 40-foot piece of rope, and at least in the case of this particular drum, to tune or tighten the drum head. Modern drums use a key and lugs, where you take a little drum key and you turn it just like a screw, tighten it, makes the drum head tighter, opposite way makes it looser. For this, we have these little leather tabs called ears. By pushing it this way, loosens the head, pushing it down, tightens the head. It is a lot easier to take care of this drum than it is modern drums in a lot of sense, until you break a drum head. And then you have to take all 40 feet of that rope off. So much fun. These instruments are designed to go underneath the sound of battle, whereas the fifes are supposed to go above. This way, you have two places that you can listen. You can either listen above on the battlefield, listen below, or preferably both at the same time.
And now I'd like to introduce to you a very strange and interesting historical instrument called the serpent. It was very popular during the colonial period, but it was in fact invented way back in 1590, and it was originally used to accompany church choirs because it covers like the bass voice. So it's low, but it's a very, very vocal sound. Over the years, it became very popular in military bands, especially in England, and we would have come to the colonies. It was used in British military music, English church music, and English dance music as well. And it was very popular right up until the mid-1800s. So I'll give you a little taste of the serpent. It's made of spruce covered with leather, and then this part here is called the vocal. It's made of brass, and then the mouthpiece is made of bone or ivory. Now we're going to play a very old and traditional melody entitled Chester. next tune we'll be playing is called the York Fusiliers. So you had grenadiers who were equipped actually with grenades often, and they could throw those into enemy entrenchments. But they were a very heavy infantry. You often see them with these large mitre caps, as they're called. Then you had the Fusiliers, which they were, again, heavy infantry, but they had shorter muskets, originally designed for cavalry, called the fusil. And then there were also the musketeers. You heard of the three musketeers? It's again another kind of infantry, regular line infantry. So this tune is named in honor of the York Fusiliers. So now it's time for the commemoration of the Beeline March itself. Well, they're on the road to Boston. Let's see, that's 1 mile down, just 599 to go. Give my regards to General Washington, lads. Teach those redcoats a lesson. The British soldiers, I mean, not the colonial musicians.